So many of us are getting ready for 2022, and we're going to embark on a journey that is going to be incredible for ourselves, for our businesses, for those organizations that we're a part of. In the last few weeks, I've got an opportunity to speak to so many of you about your plans, but yet I know there's so many of you that I haven't had a chance to share with you our planning system and how it can impact you in 2022. Here is a one-on-one I did with a gal named Paula. She's a great individual. It was so exciting to meet her, just as it is so exciting to meet so many of you guys as we do these one-on-ones. But I wanted to share this one-on-one with you so that you guys could see what our planning system is all about and how you can start utilizing it to get ready for 2022 and gear up for this next quarter. So guys, check it out. And if there's anything that you have any questions on, hit the comments, share it with us. And also, please reach out to us. We do offer a lot of one-on-one sessions. It's a great way to get to know us and our planning system.
Good afternoon, Brandon.
Yes, Paula, how are you doing today?
Oh man, it is nice to see you in person.
Is that a good thing?
It's a great thing. Yeah, it's nice to meet you, and I would like to just say thank you for putting together such a really wonderful product, service, presentation. But I've been on the hunt for a really good digital planning system that will help. I'm an old school Franklin planner girl. But yeah, so that's the world I come from. So I've been in this in a minute. But at the end of the day, your system that you've put together, I just find it to be so phenomenal.
All right, so see if you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Wow.
All right, so the first thing I really want to show you, and the most important part about this planner, I really feel, is this professional toolkit. Have you had a chance to see this yet as you're browsing any of our videos?
No, actually, I have not yet. And, again, today's first day of vacation. So the next 2 weeks, that's when I'm spending all my time with this. So yeah, okay.
Sure. So there's a 28-minute video that covers just this page. And the whole concept behind the page is, as I've worked with different entrepreneurs, business owners, managers, just professionals in general, the one thing I've always kind of gravitated towards is those that have a plan will succeed, right? And a lot of times when it comes to putting a plan together, it's really kind of a long-term process, and not only understanding your vision, but knowing your strengths and how to utilize them, know what your weaknesses are, or what challenges you're going to face, understand what your responsibilities are, what your faith, what's your guiding, your true north, what is your target, what is your absolutes, and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, if you're ever starting a business and you're asking others to give you money, the first thing they're going to ask you is, well, do you have a business plan that you can show me on what? And that goes through all that. But a lot of times what happens is these business plans become several pages of in-depth research and information, and it's a lot of work. I can't get a lot of people to take that time to put a business plan together on essentially their professional career path for the next 5 to 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I understand the value of it. So what I wanted to have a page, a professional builder, a dashboard in a sense, that's something that you could have in front of you. You could easily navigate towards it, and you could really start to understand what it is that you have on your plate and what is your goal. So long short of it, there's a 28-minute video that dives into this page, but essentially what it does, it helps you uncover what is your vision, what is the challenges that you're facing that's preventing you from knocking this vision out of the park, what resources that you have, what are the tools in your tool bag that have essentially are going to allow you to excel. I always tell people, you don't recognize how you got to where you are, right? You have skills, you have tools. How do we utilize those tools to continue the progress of hitting your vision? And because so often we get hung up on what challenges are, or what are the weaknesses that we face. I'm a big believer that we'll never accomplish something that we truly don't believe in. If there is something in front of us that we want to do, or we're being told to do something, but our internal belief goes against it, we won't do it, or we won't do it to the level that we're capable of doing it. So I always tell people it's very important to understand what's your core values, your fundamental beliefs, and how does that integrate into your vision, right? Essentially, your vision should be a modeling of what your beliefs are in life.
Right.
And then ultimately speaking, we have to be able to measure progress. So what is it? What tools are you using to measure progress? How are you going to look at progress and be able to understand it? And if you do all these things, where should it take you in 10 years? In 10 years, what is the target? What is the end goal? But ultimately speaking, I always tell business owners, especially, that you are only as strong as your exit strategy. And that's an important part of a business plan, because things might come off the rail, right? But you have to understand, what is your absolute growth? What is the absolute things that you need to achieve? And what that does is anything above that is truly success, right? But the absolute is what keeps us viable, keeps us alive, keeps us moving forward. And being able to recognize the absolutes in response to our 10-year target really kind of gives us, this clarity on life of where we are at in the spectrum. Because if we always look at the 10-year target, we're always going to fall short of that, right? You're never
Right.
going to really achieve it until you're there. But
Right.
if you can say over here is our absolutes and know that you're somewhere ahead of that and on track for that 10-year target, there's optimism to be shared there and be excited about. So really what it comes down to then is, when you get to the right side of the page, is what are you accountable for? What is the things that you need to do to hold yourself, your team, your organization, the people around you, your family? What is it that's holding you accountable to achieving this? And how is it that you start to integrate this into your daily walk of life, right? Because if you want to lose 10 pounds, or you want to become a marathon runner, or you want to become really good at shooting basketball, what do you got to do? You got to get up to the free throw line and hit shots, right?
Yeah.
So routine, and being able to punch that out is so important. Well, if you start putting your deliverable actions as part of a routine, something that you do daily, weekly, or monthly, and you own it, you will start to see progress and success. And then also at the same time, you'll improve your efficiency with it, right? So ultimately speaking, when you go through all that exercise, you finally get to the part that starts to put the tires to the pavement. What is our goals this year, 2 years, and 3 years out? But so many individuals, as they start to experience success, they also find themselves hitting a plateau. You always hear about, you're going up, and you plateau.
Yeah.
Well, the plateau is not a negative thing. What that really is, it's kind of like hitting a glass ceiling. You just don't recognize it. And you hit that ceiling because you failed to open the next door to say, well, if I start to achieve these things, how is it going to impact my life, my way of living, my organization, my partners, my peers? And that's what's so important about understanding this, the effect of your success. What is the organizational impact? And how do you adapt to that organizational impact? What is it that means you're going to do differently? And this is probably one of the most important part, especially if you're working with a team environment. People hate change. They truly hate change.
Yeah.
But if I start talking about a vision, right? And I start telling the team and the people around me, this is my vision. And I set these goals that we're going to achieve. And I sit there and I tell the person, maybe in the logistics department, hey, we're going to grow by 12%. Our textile business is going to grow by 12% by this time next year. That is one of our goals. If we do that, it's going to mean we're going to have to put out, 1/10 or 12% more out the back door as far as shipping goes. So if that happens, and as we start to achieve that, that's going to put a stress in your shipping department. The organizational impact is, we don't have the ability to hire a full-time body, but we're going to cross-train our customer service reps to understand how to help in fulfillment. And what happens is they see that, they understand the organizational impact, so that when I come up to so-and-so and say, hey, guess what? We're 10% above our growth from last year. I'm going to start bringing Brenda back here on a weekly basis to start training to learn this, because if we hit these goals, you're going to need an extra body here part-time to help you out. That change doesn't feel like a pain. It feels like a win, right? Because now that organizational impact has been being talked about for the last year, and as part of that adaptation process, that they see it and they believe it, and they start to create more ownership in everything else that we're trying to do.
And it's not such an acute change. It's not so acute, right? Yeah.
Exactly. But what that does is that allows us to open that door. So instead of plateauing, we can keep going up, right, with things.
Yeah.
So what I wanted was a one-page business plan, essentially a professional builder. You can use this across your own life, your own organization, your team, whatever it is to instill, but it's really a place where you can really figure out, where am I headed? What am I doing? And what am I going to focus on? And then from here, you jump into your vision board for the year. How are you going to start taking some of the ideas you have in the next year, plot those out and put those into a chronological order. From here, we're going to establish what our key goals are for the year. How am I going to grow myself, my career? What relationships do I want to build on? Community is so important. If it be benchmarking people, bench building around you, being able to build fellowship and support from other people in your organization. What does that look like? And then from there, jumping into your goals. Okay, here's my individual goals I'm going to start to work on. And then from there, the planner really becomes a quarter by quarter timeline in a sense. And the reason I say that, as we get closer to the first of the year, people get so excited for the first of the year because they feel like there's this like instant reset button, right? They're like, oh, everything starts over. The numbers are all back at zero. We're not in the red. We're not in the black. And the whole set of goals, it's, we get to the reset button. And there's a fire in us, right? There's a fire in us to start to embark on that. Well, what happens as we get closer into February and March? Some of these year-long goals that we have, they're so out of touch because, I have to achieve that goal by December or November or even September. Mm-hmm. That you don't understand the importance of your effort today to work towards those goals. So what happens is we say, we can work on that another day. We can focus on it at a later time. But if I was to bring December to March, I can promise you when you hit the 1st of February, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I only got 60 days left before I need to achieve this goal. And what I found with individuals, even with myself, if I shorten the time frame out and make smaller goals, so if I have a big goal, if I can chunk it out into quarterly goals or quarterly milestones and plan 12 weeks at a time, I find a lot more excitement in what I'm doing. I see a lot more success from it, and I have bigger results. Yeah. And what's exciting about that is it allows us then to get our hands better around it. When I look at the big picture, sometimes it's hard for me to see all the pieces, that Tetris in your mind, for lack of a better sense. But if I only have to work with 3 or 4 pieces and fit those together, I can build a good foundation. And then from there, I can continue to build up. It's no difference in the game Tetris. When the pieces are coming in real slow, it's easy to work with it. But as we get closer to the end of the year, all the pieces start to come real fast, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets challenging. Well, if we could always slow it down and work into a range of time that's more meaningful for us, we're going to find better results. So what this quarterly plan is really looking at the next 12 weeks. And you're probably sitting here thinking, Brandon, there's 13 weeks in the quarter, but I'm not going to correct him. It's his planner, not mine. The reason for that is I want everybody to have a week to reset. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's so important that every quarter you take a week and you look at yourself, you look at your business, you look at your model, and you get on top of your box, right? We're in our box so much that sometimes we need to get on top of it. And by getting on top of the box, we can start to pick it apart or see it for what it is and start to better understand what pieces need to be moved or how things should be shaped. And I want everybody to really plan it so that they do that at least a week per quarter. That also gives you that energy and that synergy to like jump back in and hit her running, right? No different than that week before the new year where you're kind of like, this year's done. It's in the books. We're going to start focusing on next year.
Love it. Wow. That's amazing.
So that's what this page does. And again, there's a video on all these pages. It's individual videos where I really dive into them. The second page of this is quarterly planning. From there, we go to our ideal week. The ideal week really came to light actually during the beginning of COVID. The concept behind the ideal week was I had people that were always used to doing the same routine every single day. They get up, they get on the train, they go into town, they go into work, they go into their office, they do their daily meeting, their monthly meeting, they make their phone calls, they do their lunch, they make their phone calls, they work with marketing or PR, they get
Guilty.
out of the office, they get back on the train, they head back home and they start all over.
Guilty.
I woke up, I walked into my bedroom, I opened up my computer, and now what? What do I do next, right? That routine wasn't there to guide us. And
Yeah.
what I learned is throughout life, there's different seasons to how we live. If it be weather, like if you're a big baseball player, or if you got kids that are in sports, or maybe you're in a business that's seasonal, um, you're going to have different seasons. If you're in a tax business, your February, March, April look way different than your July, August, September.
Right.
So the
Right.
ideal week is where we really start to structure is how do you spend your time and invest it, but also understand where you have time available. You go back to this annual planning, you go back to this vision board, you see there's these individual months that are in front of us. I always tell people, make sure you identify where you plan on taking personally. You can see here, if I move your picture, in March, I'm going to go to Disney. I'm going there for 10 days. Okay, that's really not the case. I'm going to Disney next month, but for this illustration, it's next month. If I'm going to Disney for 10 days, okay, and I'm going in the middle of the month, I can promise you the week and a half beforehand and the week and a half afterhand, I'm either getting ready to leave or returning, right? I'm not going to take on a big project. I'd be silly to, right?
Right.
Because I'm setting myself up for failure. So by indicating throughout the year where you have personal investments or where there is already commitments that you're going to have to address, you put this in here so that you can see where is there chunks or opportunities or blocks. For example, I don't have nothing committed really in October. Maybe there's something in the fourth quarter I really want to drill in, right?
Yeah.
No different with the ideal week. The ideal week is as you move through the seasons of your life, is where do I start to plot out time? Maybe you have every Tuesday morning, you have a light load. I'm going to invest 2 hours to look at my bigger goals. So that's the concept of it. The other side of it too is that we really address routine in a way where we look at what is our morning routine, our evening routine, and how do we mentally prepare and unwind for the day. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we get in the daily planning, it gets pretty straightforward. Daily planning is where everything really happens. And what we did with this first thing is, this to me is like a reflection page, just a weekly page that you spend basically 15 minutes, maybe a half hour. I try to drill it out in 15 minutes where I start to look at my week, not only look at the week ahead of me, but think about the week that I'm coming off of. What was my accomplishments? What things did I just not totally finish that are still very important to me? Was there certain things in a week that, just threw me off guard, that took away from my attention? Maybe it was the weather, maybe it was just, if you're working remotely, there was internet or internet issues, whatever it was that was, maybe you couldn't focus one week, right? Maybe the coffee or the water in the coffee just wasn't right. And then where's your opportunities? Who's your connections? Then a planning board, essentially, I have planning boards that look like this. I'll tell you a lot of times my real planning board that I use every day. The planning board that I use, I'm more of everybody uses the planning board differently. And if I can find my planning board, which would be under December, you can see that my planning board looks more like this here, where I do more like check boxes and list things off that and that nature.
Nice.
So the idea with the planning board is you just kind of throw everything at the wall, right? It's that place where you put post-it notes up on the wall. Some people will go many weeks out and they'll put notes in their planning board. Like in the 3rd week of January, I know I got to address this. I'm going to drop on my planning board today, right? I don't have a schedule for it, but I want to at least put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then over here, we essentially start to grid out what are the things that are most important to the things that are less important that we can push out later. What is our emphasis for the week? What are things that just aren't going to fit in our plan that need to roll into our next week? And then we establish what matters most, and then tasks that we're going to schedule and assign.
This might be a really rudimentary question, but I wanted to ask you, because obviously, any given time, I can get on a flow and then this will spill over into multiple pages. So like, how easy is it just to just copy? I mean, I guess I could just copy this section and it'll appear, it won't really disrupt the flow of the digital planner, right?
Yeah, it's really awesome. Grab the lasso tool, throw this around here.
Oh.
Copy it. Well, throw the lasso tool around here. Right click, hit copy, jump into whatever day you want to jump into, hit paste. And then you basically put it back where you want it.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of times that people do that. They'll use one page to, they'll copy the notes from one day to the next.
Okay.
As far as the daily pages go, it's really straightforward in the sense that you have a planning board for this page. You have your routine that we talked about from the ideal week up here. You have
Mm-hmm.
your overall focus for the day. And what are the three key things? The planners call it the key to success, right? Maybe I should have called it the key three success, but that just didn't work very well. But ultimately, what it is, there's 1 to 3 things every day that we should notate as part of our daily schedule. It could be a number of things, even to a point, it could be a meeting that you plan to attend. But it's the things that are going to make a return on your investment for that day. And these are the things that are going to get you either by footsteps or by inches closer to those visions, that 10-year target that you're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, at the end of the day, you should have completed these 3 tasks, up to these 3 tasks, and feel successful because that is what made the return of your investment. I have some people that it's the first things that they do every day. They block out from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock that these are the things they're going to work on. And they tell me, hey, I'm done for the day. I did the things that mattered most, right? First things first is what one of the 7 habits of successful people is. You do the first things first. And in this case, it's really just about understanding what's most important and making sure you make those a part of your schedule for the day.
Yeah.
From there, you can go ahead and you can drop into your different tasks as well as plan out your week. Some things that are pretty exciting that I like to show people about the planning system is that you have the ability to go in and you can copy pages by hitting copy and paste them. A lot of people will copy a page. They'll go under a particular date and they'll hit paste and they'll put a meeting page right underneath that particular date.
That's what I like.
Other people will do something even more crazy. If you see meeting with Tim, they'll create hyperlinks.
Mm-hmm.
If I click on this, it'll actually take me to my meeting with Tim, which is actually in March. I don't know why it's in March, but it's in March.
Yeah.
Or I can come in here and I have a meeting here with Lisa, right? I can right click on this page. I hit copy the link. I can go into January. Her and I are going to meet on Tuesday and we're going to meet at 5:30. Drop in the link. There's my meeting with Lisa. Click on that and it'll go right here.
Yeah.
Why that's
money.
so helpful
Yeah.
is because in our planner, you have the ability to build out sections, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can go under this project for Beaver Dam, and I can see in here that I have a project with building a beaver dam, which I'm not sure what a beaver dam is, but it sounds great. And I can actually have meetings, I can have notes underneath this project. Well, maybe what I want to do is I want to keep all of that project information together, but I want to be able to put the meetings and the meeting notes into the calendar in the appropriate time. So here's meeting with Derek, but again, goes back to the meeting with Derek underneath that project.
Yeah, that's money right there for me, Brandon, because I've got I've got to operate at scale, but that's money for me right there. I'm looking to find a way to not only manage my work life better, but then kind of segue into what you have been talking about, which is building my own business, right? So I need to be able to manage all that and juggle these things, time manage, and then also just check some boxes, get some satisfaction, understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and then hopefully have time at the end of the day for self-care and just self-improvement on the things that have only to do with me. Yeah, this is great.
I mean, one life, right? It's one life.
It is, and it's too short sometimes.
People always talk about, oh, I have my personal life, my work life. I said, well, you have one life. I mean, how does, and with COVID and a lot of people being, working from home, that one life really becomes one life.
That is so true. I'm tempted to, leverage, OneNote even more so than I do today. That might shock someone who don't use it as efficiently and effectively as we could be. And I really feel like something was lost between Franklin Planner and the whole concept of digital planning until I discovered, your system. I was just out there kind of, winging it.
Steve Jobs made a mistake when he said that no one's going to use a pencil, right? He said that. And then all of a sudden, guess what?
Yep.
There's a pencil. And I think, and I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's just as you get excited about technology and you accept it, right? And then you want to see what technology can do for you.
Yeah.
But then as you start working with technology, you start to realize and recognize the things that, wait a minute, my mind doesn't compute like this as well as it does like this when I'm
Yes,
typing.
sir. Amen.
So yeah, so when we write something, we're more likely to remember, more likely to engage with it, we're going to take more ownership of it.
Yeah.
And as this device, this stylus, this pencil, this pen, whatever you want to call it, as it becomes more of a reality and starts to be integrated into the Surface, the iPad, the Remarkable, and I can name a
Yeah.
dozen different devices that it works with,
Mhm.
you start to see that I now have a yellow pad of paper in front of me
Mhm.
wherever I go, and I can use it in the means that I can now connect it
Yeah.
to the technology. Now, granted, I have people all the time that come to me and say, well, Brandon, can I get notifications on here? Can like it remind me of my appointments?
Hmm.
And the answer to that is no, right?
Right.
Now
Right.
with Microsoft, you do have Outlook, okay, and you can create tasks. You can pull those tasks into OneNote, and you can get reminded that way.
Mhm.
But what I always tell people is you have to look at planning different than you look at scheduling.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
When I look at scheduling, that is using iCal, that's using Google Calendar, that's using your Outlook calendar. And all you're doing is taking a timetable and putting in events and activities, and you are getting reminded, if it be on your watch, if it be from your computer, from your phone. But can you go into those events and activities and write out a plan for how you are going to see success or get a return from that investment in time? The difference with planning is you're taking your time, you're saying, this is all the time I have, this is my block of time, and
Right.
I'm going to utilize it the best that I can. I'm going to start to schedule out, create that ideal week where routines, projects, goals all become part of my time investment.
Mhm.
So I'm not just putting in events of activities I have to get reminded of. I'm planning that I'm going to work on this project. I'm going to develop this goal. I'm going to overcome this challenge. I am going to meet with this person to understand how to do this and learn from that. I am going to, attend these types of events. But you plan all that, right? And
Mhm.
you become more effective and you become further in life with your goals.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between planning and scheduling. The scheduling part is so important because we are connected to these devices and we still have to get
Yeah.
reminded because of the cross collaborations between like programs like Zoom and Calendly, and I can, different booking softwares and whatever you can possibly think of. So I
Mhm.
tell people the best bet is to have a primary calendar
Mhm.
that you use for planning and a
Mhm.
secondary calendar that you use for scheduling. And what's so cool about using these devices is
Mhm.
that with OneNote and computers, iPads, you can put up your calendar and your planner in front
Yeah.
of you side by side. And within a matter of a few minutes, once a week, you can synchronize the two pretty easily.
That's outstanding. No, that's outstanding. Thank you. It's just the aha moment was when you said ROI. So I am, as a result of this, going to start demanding a lot more ROI on each day. And what does that look like? What are the one or two or three things that I can accomplish that will make me feel like I've made a return? I'm getting a return on my investment of time, and that will give me a great deal of sense of satisfaction once I can do that.
And if it's hard to do 3 things a day, start by
Mhm.
filling out what matters most in this weekly planning page.
Mm.
What are the 3 things this week that you need to accomplish?
Yeah.
What I'm asking you to do here with the planner is to really understand your vision, put it into quantable goals that make sense, determine what the action steps are that are needed to achieve those goals, and start to put those in a timeline quarter by quarter that you can effectively arrange into your daily and weekly schedule so that you can meet those goals. And as you do that, you'll start to build those pieces together. And you should see success.
I love
You
it.
really should.
I love it. Brandon, what's next for you after this? This is like the best thing, you changing people's lives here. What's next for you?
Oh gosh, honestly,
You didn't
I've
expect
been
that question, did you?
no, no. This is going to sound really self-serving, but I'm hoping that in the next 3 years, my goal is to be able to just honestly be able to schedule more time for my family, to be frank with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been working since I've been 21 years old, and I've been going 100 miles an hour. And my kids now are growing up pretty quick. And so as I plan my next 3 years, it's how do I get all the different pieces and facets and things that I built around me all
Yeah.
turnkey,
Hmm.
so that not that I can disengage, but I can empower those organizations and those individuals in my circles to be able to, carry the torch and run with it. And I'm very blessed that, and pretty much I've been able to start to see that, grow out over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the planner. The planner was not designed for me to help you. It was designed to help myself.
I
I
get
don't know
it.
if you ever heard my story, but I was really successful for a short period of time. I stopped planning, went into I plummeted, if you want to call it that. Went into the most debt I ever been in my life, which was scary. And I recognized real quick that the reason I was going backwards is because I was failing to plan to move forward. And I tried to go back to paper planning. I just couldn't do it because I was so intrigued by these electronic devices, and I said, "Well, let's embrace what's in front of me."
Yeah.
And the Microsoft Surface came out, and I took that tool and I built a planning system, started utilizing it, and the last 4 years have been some of the fastest growth that I've seen in the last 15, 20 years. So,
Yeah.
and then second year into doing the system, I had a couple people that saw what it was, from meetings, and asked about it. And I shared it with them, and like, you need to share this with the world. So that's what we've been
Absolutely.
doing. And it's been pretty cool. I mean, I met some incredible people. And I know this for a fact that a lot of people's lives are changing as well as mine.
Mhm.
So I hope that does that for you too.
I hope so. I'm very much looking forward to just digging into this. And like I said, I've got a couple of weeks before my world kicks up again in activity. And it was all about this. I mean, I was waiting for, just this time to really dig in and make it a, just get comfortable with the system. So no, thank you for all your tips. This is just what I needed to get started. And so yeah, but definitely I want some more time with you. So I'll plan for that.
Awesome.
And I'll spend some time, of course, with the podcast too. And yeah, just continued success for you. Really excited for you. Very proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together. And yeah, we'll hopefully be in touch again soon.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
All right. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to you and your family.
Absolutely. You too.
All right. And yeah, I'll look forward to our next talk.
So there you guys have it. I know that's a little bit longer than what you're used to when it comes to videos from us, but I thought it was important to go through the different pages and learn how to use those. Everything from professional builder to your vision, to your goals, to developing those annual keys and implementing the action steps needed in each quarter into your weeks and days ahead of you. Guys, I'm Brandon Boner, for the creator and founder of the Key to Success Planning System, and I'm so excited to be taking this journey with you as we change our lives together. Stay tuned for more videos, and guys, God bless each and every one of you, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. May 2022 be the best yet.